こっちへ来るんじゃねえ。
Okay, hi guys and welcome to the show, and today we're doing another special comparative review between two really special watches. Now, last time we looked at two mid-range Swiss automatics, and this time we're looking at two Japanese automatics in a kind of entry level. So last time it was mid-range, but this time it's entry level, and both of these watches cost less than $200. And in my opinion is absolutely unbeatable. I doubt very much you will find anything as well manufactured in terms of quality and movement and all the rest of it for less than $200. And the Japanese, they just absolutely dominate this price point. So let's have a look at what we have to compare. So we have, of course, on the red corner we have the iconic Seiko SKX007. Now, a friend of mine was very kind enough to lend me his purely so I could do this review. So thank you very much, very kind of you. And I rather stupidly sold my SKX. I had the 009, which of course is the red and blue bezel and with a dark blue. It's exactly the same watch, just a different color scheme. That's all. I stupidly sold it last year when I was kind of having a bit of a purge in the collection and trying to narrow it down after I had too many watches. But it's a watch I know very well, and even just handling this in my hand kind of gives me a kind of Proust Madeleine moment of all the memories I've had with these watches. They are just fantastic. And then so this is the so on the red corner we have the Seiko SKX07, and on the blue corner a newcomer. I just recently reviewed this. I've had this a couple of weeks now. This is the Orient Black Ray Raven, another Japanese brand of exceptional quality and affordability, and I absolutely adore this. But to really kind of, it's a very difficult thing, which is best. Now, obviously, it's a matter of preference at the end of the day. But to get a better understanding, I've come up with this 10-point rating system with 10 categories, and then a final score at the end. And I kind of came up with this when I was comparing the Oris Aquis and Squale, and just so you get an idea of the results, the Oris got an 87, a very respectable, strong 87, when the Squale just beat it by 92. Let's get into the Duel itself. First of all, let's talk about value, and I'm just using this this little cleaning cloth from Long Island Watches that came with my Orient, so we'll just slide that down. So value, in my opinion, they both get really high marks for the simple reason that they are both less than $200. So in my opinion, the Orient Black Ray wins hands down with 10 out of 10, simply because the fact that it's an in-house movement, which is something really extraordinary at this price point, and you just have to respect that, you know. The Seiko comes very close, simply because it's a more tried and tested. It's been around a bit longer, and its value is still really competitive. But I also gave it very high marks. So let's look at the next category, design. Now the Orient gets a 7 here, which is still a respectable mark, but it falls down a little bit, mainly just of very subtle little things in its design that kind of not annoy me, but I think could have been improved just to make it that more refined. For example, the lug width being 22 millimeters, I think is a tiny bit too big for a 40 millimeter diameter watch. I think it would have been much better at 20. you know, maybe there's a reason they did it this way, but I think a slightly, just a smidgen smaller would have been a bit more refined and in keeping with the scale and size of the watch. Also the screw down pusher to change the day wheel. It's a weird thing. I mean, I've never seen this before, and I feel it's a bit overkill maybe. But then again, how would they have incorporated it into the design in a different way? But I think, you know, maybe perhaps it would have been even better without. Personally, I don't mind it, but I know it does give it gives annoyance to some people. It does kind of add a kind of more kind of tool aesthetic to the watch. You know, you kind of love it or hate it, you know. So there are little niggles in the design that I think could have been improved. But overall, it is a very strong design. If we compare it to the SKX, I feel the SKX is a smidgen better. Just because it's been around longer. I think its case is a bit more well designed. It's certainly easier to read, and I just think it's everything has just been designed just a touch better. Right, so let's move on to the next category, and it is the movement. Now, of course, no surprises here. The Orient gets 10 out of 10. We have a very solid movement with a nice day-date complication, completely in-house, and as I said earlier, for less than $200. It's quite an achievement. I mean, you know, the only other watch I have that is in-house is my Rolexes, and they're you know, extremely expensive. So to have an in-house movement for less than $200, you know, is a hell of an achievement. So absolutely 10 out of 10. Compared to the Seiko here, an infamously reliable movement. I mean, this is famous for going for even up to 15 years without resurfacing. Very, very reliable, robust, extremely, you know, can take a lot of knocks. The robustness of this movement is just it's infamous. It's you know, so again, very, very high mark. I can't give it 10 out of 10 obviously, because it hasn't got the that wow factor of the in-house movement of the Orient, but again, very, very solid. So, you know, 8 is an extremely respectable mark. So let's go to the next category, brand prestige. Now, Seiko obviously wins here with a strong 9 compared to a 7. I gave the 9 purely because, you know, Seiko has achieved so much. They got a really strong history of horology, and it's a brand that I absolutely adore and respect, and I would never be without a Seiko in my collection. I cannot see that happening, you know. They're just one of a kind, an amazing brand, extremely affordable, so they get a 9. The Orient comes in at 7. Maybe I was a little harsh, but Orient still kind of, for me, are a bit of a not an unknown, but they have yet to make that kind of cultural impact, and they just don't have the achievements and the history that Seiko have. Obviously, it's a very, very difficult thing to compare. I mean, so I give it 7, which is still a respectable score, and you know, it can only go up as they achieve more things, and you know, for a relatively new brand in the whole scheme of things, you know, I think 7 is a fair marking. Okay, so let's look at quality. In my opinion, the Orient wins. It did come with a rather cheap bracelet, but why it gets such a high mark is because the actual watch itself, all the components are extremely well put together. Everything on this watch lines up absolutely perfectly, from the bezel to the chapter ring on the inside. to the crispness, execution of the hands, the placing of the loom. Everything is impeccable, and for $200 you really can't complain. So I think for quality, I give this a 9, and it's relative to its price. Okay, it is a very high score, but just bear in mind that this is $179. So you know, the quality you receive for $179 is impeccable. I mean, you could go and spend several $100s on some fashion watch in Macy's and pay retail, and it wouldn't have anything on the quality of this. I absolutely trust Orient, their reliability, their robustness. Whereas the Seiko is again very high quality. They are masters at mass manufacturing, a very to a high standard. My experience with Seikos is, on the whole, they tend to have a very consistent quality, but every so often you do find little things that maybe are a little bit cheaper. Its bracelet again, it obviously is cheap, and there's always going to be a little bit of play with the bezel. It doesn't, you know, but everything pretty much lines up perfectly, and you know, you guaranteed that Seiko quality. For this price range, you can't really complain. But I have to say, you know, even looking at this model, it's pretty flawless. I can't find any faults with it, and this is, you know, something that's been worn quite a bit. So the quality is high. I wouldn't say as high as the Orient. So next, let's look at style. I think here the Orient again kind of just beats it, mainly because of this black IP coating. It's just very stylish. Also, that we have the second hand, as I mentioned in the review, is also black with just the tip with the dash of red, giving it the impression that you just see the red tip of the hand moving around, and I think it's very stylish. It has this kind of militaristic, stealthy. It's just cool, you know. I mean, if you were flying a stealth bomber, or if you were you know, in a submarine, it looks like it should be on the wrist of like you know, of a SWAT team. Maybe it's just this particular model with the coating, but you know, it beats the kind of slightly mundane, you know, typical Seiko. It's just a little bit that extra special. So style wise, I think this wins. But you know, the Seiko does have a very kind of versatile style about it. It's a very classic, this cushion case. It still draws me. I still find it aesthetically pleasing, and you know, I love this kind of late 70s, 80s kind of style about it. The loom markings and the hands. It is stylish in its own way. So moving on to versatility now. Personally, I think the Seiko wins, mainly because you know, you can get all kinds of parts. You can mod the hell out of these. You can have all different kinds of bezels and dials. It's very easy to do, very affordable. You know, it's more customizable. You can find all different parts for it. You can do the same, obviously, for the Orient, but you know, if you look at the bezel, for example, with these little indentations here, you know, it's going to be very difficult to find a different bezel, or you know, this isn't as moddable, obviously, as the Seiko. So the Seiko here wins. However, the Orient still rates highly because you can dress it on different NATOs. You can still put it on straps, on different, you know, all kinds of. I mean, imagine this on a carbon fiber black leather strap. It would just be, oh my god, it would be really cool. I think the Seiko here just wins by a smidgen, mainly because you know, this is IP plated, so it might not go with every single color, whereas I feel this is the Seiko SKX is you know, a lot more versatile, especially with the modding, and pretty much you can put pretty much any kind of NATO strap on this and it will just look stunning. So let's look at performance now. I've given the mark to the Orient mainly because over the last couple of weeks that I've had this watch, it's been unbelievably accurate. It's not as accurate as my Submariner, but it has been extremely accurate, more so than my mid-range pieces, which is quite something. So I had to give it a high mark. It keeps better time than some of the pieces that cost 3, 4, 5, 6 times as much, so hence the high score. The Seiko, on the other hand, I gave slightly less, mainly because it's not as accurate, but it still gets a high mark because of its robustness. The movement has been specifically designed to take more knocks and more abuse, so it's not big on the accuracy, but it's more robust. So it really depends, you know, what you're looking for. So in terms of performance, I think actually the Orient beats it. You may have different results. It will be interesting to see how they compare, maybe after a few months. So what's next? Durability. Now, it's no surprise that the Seiko wins here. These things, you could bang them about. I've you know, the amount of memories associated with this just by holding it. You know, I've biked with these. I've actually gone diving with these. What else have I done? All kinds of rock climbing and all kinds of things. I mean, you know, when I had my SKX009, you know, the dog literally chewed it. It was, you know, still performed. It can take a beating, and the best thing is, you know, you damage any of the parts, damage the glass or the bezel, very cheap and easy to find replacements. Literally every single part of this watch is replaceable for very low cost. Also, another thing to realize is that these things have been known to go for up to 15 years without service. So that is just a testament to how durable the movement is. So maybe not the best, most accurate, but certainly durable. So the durability on the Orient is still high. It's very robust, and as you can see, I've had this for a few weeks now, and it's absolutely still minty mint. It still looks flawless. It's still a bit of a kind of unknown, but I must say it's for its price point, you can't really argue. I mean, if this messes up beyond recognition, you buy another one. It's only $179. You know, so a really affordable beta choice. Now for the X factor, maybe I should just explain this again. It's that special something, that kind of you know, the unknown quality. The Seiko undoubtedly wins, and mainly because I think there's a kind of mystique, there's a cult following of this watch. It's been in so many of my favorite movies. When I look at this watch, I think of Robert Redford in All Is Lost, and which is quite a recent film, and the watch is almost the character within the movie. It does definitely have that X factor. It's respected by, you know, snobs and horology nuts and divers, and everyone respects this piece. I mean, you'd be crazy not to, and it does have that X factor, that special something. Maybe, I don't know if it's the cushion design or these kind of 80s or late 70s indices. I'm not sure what it is, but it does have that special something. The components came together so well and has made a classic. It's a legendary diver. So definitely a high score there. And you know, it being in movies and worn by a lot of like celebrities and actors, it does, you know, give it even more of a special something. And when you wear this, you feel cool. You know, you it has that cool, has that X factor without a shadow of a doubt. The Orient, however, scores a little bit less. I gave it a 7, still a respectable score, but you know, doesn't have any of the fame or the kind of I guess you could say the celebrity status, or the hasn't got that cult following that the Seiko has. So it did have to come down, you know, had to give it a slightly lesser mark, but a 7 is still a really high score. It does have something special about it. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's the aesthetics. It's the black stealth nature of the piece. I'm not really sure what it is, but it does have an X factor about it. It is a really cool piece. So I think it's 7. I think 7 is a respectable mark. Okay, guys. So let's do an unveiling of the final scores. And it's quite a surprising result. I mean, you've probably added it up as you as we've gone along, but it's no surprise. Well, bit of a surprise to me. The final scores. Let's see. They draw. So we actually have a draw, which is quite surprising considering you know, this is a bit of a newcomer and this is the old guard, but it just goes to show that they both have their strengths, they both have their weaknesses, but at the end of the day, they're really well equally matched. And for, you know, I was expecting to crown the winner, the king of the entry-level divers, automatic divers, but with this draw, God, there isn't a clear winner. They're just very strong. They're both very strong, and it's a surprising result. I'm quite surprised myself, really. So yeah, between these two, you can't really do no wrong. I guess at the end of the day, it's a matter of preference. But in a way, it kind of makes sense. Which is the best? I guess I'll leave it up to you guys to finally decide. Maybe they should share the crown for the best entry-level automatic diver. Okay guys, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching, and please like and subscribe. More videos coming weekly, Monday to Friday. If you have any comments, please leave them down below. I would love to hear your thoughts, which you think is the winner here. And if you have any questions, please email me. Okay guys, catch you next time. Thank you for watching. Ciao.